Yo guys, welcome back on the channel. It is the 31st of July, last day of July. Transfer window's been open for about a month now, so it's time to continue giving you guys an update on what's going on in the world of Inter in terms of incomings and outgoings. But as usual, you guys know what to do. You need to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Today I'm going to start with the news that we're all following, that we're all getting a little bit frustrated with. Me less than I think more a lot of Interisti are getting really frustrated with this, but it's a transfer window. It's Atalanta. If you were expecting this deal to be done in the space of a few days, regardless of what Inter or Marotta say, you know, you've not been on this rodeo enough times. And with Atalanta, we saw it with Coop Miners. We see it many times with most of their transfers. It takes a while. And here is the latest update as per Inter Extra, with a long update from different sources on the Ademola Lookman transfer. So the other day, Marotta met face-to-face with Percassi, the Atalanta president, during the Lega meeting, so the Serie A clubs meeting, verbally made the offer, and then that offer was also to be made official via written or via email form. Whether that made a difference or not, we know Atalanta will reject that offer, this official written offer, because they still want 50 million euros. And according to the reports, Oak Tree's limit is 45 million on this, because they thought 40 plus 5 was going to get the job done. I think, as we've said since the beginning, I think you guys know, since this kicked off, I think it's pretty clear what Inter need to do to get the job done. Coop Miners, I always use the Coop Miners deal as a reference. They wanted 60. In the end, it was done 51 plus 6, so 57. I said from the beginning, Inter will need to push to 47, 48 million. That will get the deal done. And so Oak Tree, whatever they need to get, Auxilio, Marotta, whatever they need to get done to get that extra approval from them, they need to get it done. Because if this is the guy that they want, whether you agree with this deal or not, whether you think Inter are overpaying or not, this is what needs to be done now to get the deal over the line. We know that Lookman is pushing very hard, but not hard as Coop Miners was. Coop Miners went super unprofessional. He handed in doctor notes, fit notes, sick notes to Atalanta to push the deal through, to not go to preseason with them, to not turn up to training. Ademola Lookman at the moment is injured, but it looks like it actually isn't a real injury. But he's not doing anything unprofessional to try and push the move, which may have, helped Inter maybe in this deal. But this is, according to Fabrizio Romano, the deal is now entering the hottest phase. And then if we go to some of the reports here from Italy, again, Lookman, again, this is Romano. Lookman is the first, second, and third choice for Inter. And then one more update. Inter are quite actually optimistic about this deal. Actually, this was also posted on Inter Extra. Let me find you the deal. Yeah, here Sky Sport and Di Marzio says Inter won't and can't go over 45. But, if that's the truth, then the deal is over. But if it's true that he's first, second, and third choice, 2 or 3 million, and especially with the outgoings that we're going to get into, money is coming in, budget space is being made, they'll be able to surely push through this deal. And the other thing that kind of, I guess, gives into optimism is that Percassi basically admitted that Lookman wants to leave. That's not the right quote. Let me see if I can find it. There was there it is. Percassi's words, that he basically admitted that, obviously Atalanta have a good relationship, whatever, that doesn't matter. But he admitted that Lookman, they already had planned, for Lookman to be one of the guys to be leaving. Retegui was the surprise one. They didn't plan on Matteo Retegui to be leaving, especially so early on in the window. So they said, Atalanta, we usually kind of have to allow one big player every summer to leave. They thought it was going to be Lookman. They knew it was going to be Lookman. He wanted to leave already last year. The Retegui deal kind of changed their plans, but still, they've even offered Lookman, according to some reports, they even offered Lookman the same amount or even more money than Inter. So Inter offer around 4.5 million net, Apparently, Atalanta are offering him 5, and he's saying, no, I want Inter. So Marotta the other day in his press conference said the next 2 or 3 days will be key. Still hasn't happened. I think really the next few days, by the end of this week or by Saturday, Sunday, I think we should really know. According to Matteo Moretto here, Inter want a response by Friday, so by tomorrow. This is the deadline. If there is silence, it will be taken as a no, and the club will move on. And now we move on to the alternative. So we know from weeks before that Nkunku has been kind of this alternative to Lookman, first choice alternative. In the video I made yesterday, make sure you check it out. Nkunku's not even mentioned because he has such low playing time and such low involvement with Chelsea. He doesn't even come up on those data MB charts because his last 2 years at Chelsea have been so useless, no impact. This has just been useless time at Chelsea, so he doesn't even come up on those. A few years back, he was also a similar profile to Ademola Lookman, a guy that has pace, that dribbles past players, that has creativity, adds goals, adds final output. The last 2 years at Chelsea, he looks a shadow of himself. He doesn't look even as quick. He looks like he's, looks a little bit lethargic. But that is, when a transfer flops, sometimes you can look completely a different player. He is now 27, 28 years old as well. So he's not really actually, let me double check that he is the right 28. He is 27 years old, will be 28 in November. So similar, pretty much exact age as Lookman. But now we're talking about going from almost a guarantee with Lookman in terms of the guy in Serie A with the most goals and assists after Lautaro in the last 3 seasons to someone who did that similar level of output, but in Bundesliga a while back now. Football moves quickly. And it will be probably, as I explained in my budget video a few weeks back, if you watched that, it would probably be like an expensive loan. We pay an expensive loan fee, and he's got a big salary with maybe an option to buy. Ideally, Chelsea would try to push for an obligation to buy. But I don't think this is really an ideal option, in my opinion. I would opt for younger, more, again, maybe not, it might not be proven options, but as we discussed, the likes of Nusa or different types of similar type of wingers / forwards that can provide what Inter need, which is that pace, that dribbling ability, that creativity, and that hunger as well, like we've been doing with our other signings. With Nkunku, yes, there might be some redemption, wanting a redemption, wanting to show his level again and trying to win back the French national team spot and work with Marcus Thuram. But yeah, I'm not too keen on this if this is the number one alternative. So that is kind of the wrap up on the Lookman deal. I will try to keep you guys up to date on everything. And yeah, as usual, let me know in the comments down below. Are you out now? This is getting done. This is not getting done. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. But let's move on to some more positive news now in terms of outgoings. Inter are starting to move things in terms of outgoings, even players that we don't own. So we know Alexander Stankovic, 10 million to Bruges, Tejan Buchanan, 9 million to Villarreal, plus the sell-on. And Lucien Agume yesterday, Sevilla announced that they're buying out the extra 4 million clause that was in his contract. So Sevilla bought Agume off us last year for 4 million, but that was just for 50% of his or 40% of his rights. And now they bought out. Sorry, yeah, that was the 50%. Now they bought out the remaining 40% from Inter for another 4 million, which because they are about to sell him on to other teams most likely, and Inter retain 10 million in there as well. So 4+4, so we've made 8 out of Agume, and potentially if they sell him on for more than 20 million, which is the reported fees of 20 to 25 million, there's another 2 million to be made by Inter. So overall, Inter look to be making about 10 million from Agume, which is great. This is always why there's never really too much of a negative when you buy young players or even players like Tejan, who already was 25 when we bought him. There's always at least some sell-on value. And we're even making some money from someone that we sold quite a while back, Georgios Vagianidis, young Greek player that we bought few years back, never worked out at Inter, but we sold him back to Greece with, I think, almost for free, but all we put in was there like a sell-on clause, and he's now going to Sporting Lisbon, I believe. From that, we are going to be making 2 million. So we're making 25 million this summer. But these are all deals that, you know, from players of good age, good value, good sell-on value. Of course, still we need to make the money from the guys that we want to sell. So Seba Esposito still comes within that. It's just that because it's within Italy, everything moves slower when Italian clubs are trying to buy because they're all broke. Taremi, he's in the age that it's going to be a struggle to sell. Taremi might be one of those where we might have him on our books up until the last few days of the transfer window. I can imagine that happening. And we have to just try to gift him somewhere. And of course, Christian Aslani. And the other name that's been hotting up recently, quite rightly as well, is Piotr Zielinski, who is now rumored to be, you know, Inter are open to selling him, quite rightly. We've discussed this. You know, I'm a massive fan of the player from his time in Serie A, but at Inter, it just seemed like he's kind of come just, you know, happy, very content to just be a bit part player, not really push Mkhitaryan for his spot. Earning is 3.5, 4 million net a season, which is quite a lot for a backup. So Inter, in terms of if we want to make space in the budget, make some savings, especially if the new formation. Kivu said there's a key moment as well in the Kivu's press conference where he said we're too many in midfield. We have a lot of players in midfield. So if we're gonna play 3-5-2, but also 3-4-2-1, you need less midfielders. And Zielinski in a double pivot, I don't really see him working too well, or even as one of the guys behind the strikers right now with the way he's, you know, you need, you know, a bit more running and running in behind ability in those positions as well. I don't think Zielinski will offer that. So Inter are trying to probe, apparently, according to Pasquale Guerrero, Saudi Arabia, which is an option he had in the past that he rejected whilst he was at Napoli. Maybe, hopefully, that offer can come around again. And again, I'm not expecting any much from a transfer fee, even though he's still only 30 years of age. Don't expect much of a transfer fee for Zielinski. Is more of a salary cost cutting if it happens. Anything else? Let's see what. Speaking of Inter Extra, of course, check out the podcast I was on with them the other day with Sean and Simi. Oh, Jan Bisseck is of course attracting interest from Premier League. We know he is the type of profile that Premier League clubs like: tall, athletic, 24-year-old centre back. So according to the reports, Fabrizio Biasini here and other Italian sources says Crystal Palace actually made an offer to Inter worth around 32 million euros. And of course, Inter rejected that. Inter would only consider 40 million and above for Bisseck. And quite rightly, he might not be the finished article. He might have some lapses in concentration, Jan Orel Bisseck-Beckenbauer. But in terms of his profile, you know, especially the prices that defenders go for these days in the Premier League as well, I think we should hold out for at least 35 to 40 million, and I'm talking about pounds. So yeah, plus 40 million euros for sure. Because selling Bisseck, as much as I'm open to, as I said, either one of Bisseck or Pavard, I'm open to selling to. Selling Bisseck doesn't actually make too much of a difference for Inter on the books. Yes, they will make a big capital gain plus Valenza, but this summer Inter don't really need to make that. They're not forced to make much of a capital gain. And in terms of salary, and we bought him for so cheap, Bisseck, he doesn't really move the needle budget-wise. But as we always said, similar to what type of profile he is, you can find a lot of Bissecks out there. So that's why we're linked to Conny De Winter, who is a young, aggressive, athletic centre-back that you can come in. You sell Bisseck for 40, 45. You can buy De Winter for 30. And yeah, that's an easy replacement. Whereas if you sell Pavard, even if you sell him for a low fee, 15, 20 million, you're definitely not going to get 30, 35, what Inter apparently wants for him. But he earns 5 million net. So you save a lot of money. You make a big difference in the budget, and you can actually invest in a top player with that type of money saving from Pavard. So let's see if more clubs are interested in Bisseck, if Crystal Palace come back with a bigger offer. And yeah, Fabrizio Romano also confirms the Nkunku being the alternative. FC Inter News 1908 confirmed that Jan Bisseck has many suitors in the Premier League. The defender isn't on the market, but if a good offer arrives, it would be considered. Christian Kiev was also a fan, which could be enough for Bisseck to stay. And, it makes sense in terms of how Kiev apparently wants to play. If he wants to make Inter a more aggressive, higher press, higher defensive line team, that sounds like something that fits Jan Bisseck. Davide Frattesi, an interesting discussion to be had on him because he is been injured for the last few weeks. He had a hernia surgery, and he's expected to return to Milano this weekend to be start his preseason. So he should be back and ready in time for the start of the season. There's also reports with Frattesi. I think Gazzetta was reporting that there will be his contract will be renewed, and it's not one of those type of renewals that really, it says, we believe in you. It's more of a similar to how we renewed Aslani last season. You renew the contract by a year or even 2 years, maybe increase the salary slightly, but it's just to spread his amortization a little bit more on the books, and make his cost on the books slightly lower, and of course gives you good leverage in the future if you ever want to sell him. But also, in a way, it does say, look, under Inzaghi, he definitely looked like he wanted to leave himself and should have left. But now under Kivu, it looks like, apparently Kivu believes in him, wants to try to get him back to the levels that he hit at Sassuolo, and he does hit for Italy. So it's a new lease of life potentially for Frattesi. So sad day for Frattesi haters, happy days for Frattesi lovers, and hopefully this is could be potentially a reignite his career at Inter. So you guys let me know in the comments down below what you make on this news. Only reported by Gazzetta at the moment. Let's see if more sources report on this news for Frattesi. Let me see if there's anything else that I've missed. Yeah, so there's a new signing for the under-23. Simone Cinquegrano joins from Sassuolo, loan with option to buy. And actually on that, Vecchi just spoke on this, saying that this is the under-23 coach, saying that this is going to be an important project for the ownership. We know Oaktree like all this idea of younger investment in the younger players, developing young players. We will work in synergy with Kivu. We have the means to build a strong squad. We are at his disposal. On one hand, we will have a framework that allows players to move up and have a smoother impact compared to the first team system. And on the other hand, we must also prioritize the development of the best talent. So hopefully it's a place where we can start monetizing well and better for our younger players, but also hopefully build them a good path into the first team. And there was another signing here that Daniele Mari is hyping up, saying that he was very good for the Verona youth team. So Inter signed someone for 1 million, this Richie Agbonifo, 5-year contract, one of the best players in the last Primavera Campionato, so last Primavera season, a winger that scored 13 goals, 11 assists, so very, very impressive numbers. But of course, not for the first team. This is a signing for the under-23 team. Akin Sanmiro, if you're on loan watch, Akin Sanmiro on loan to Pisa scored his first goal in the friendly yesterday for Pisa. Definitely one guy that I'm watching out for, just for my personal taste that I like. Inter bought a young defender from Poland, born in 2008, 3-year contract from Warsaw, Polonia Warsaw, and team's back in training, and of course looking forward to watching the friendly between Inter and Inter under-23 on Sunday. So definitely we'll keep a lookout for that and look out for the news on everything. As I said, guys, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Hope you enjoyed today's update. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Ciao ragazzi, always Forza Inter under-23. Maybe that's the new outro for the videos.